This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for May 28th, 11:30 a.m. Well, Tropical Storm Beryl made landfall in the very early morning hours in Jacksonville with 70-mile-per-hour winds, and the system is winding down and is now a tropical depression. I'll get to the specifics on the landfall. First of all, here is the tracking map with the sea surface temperatures on the map underneath the overlay of Tropical Storm Beryl, and you see Beryl made landfall. It gained strength. In fact, my last tropical update video, I mentioned that this would make landfall around 50 miles per hour in the Jacksonville area, and apparently the system started consolidating a little bit before it made landfall. It became purely tropical, wrapped up a little bit, gained a little bit of convection. It seemed like these sea surface temperatures in the 70s did not seem to affect this system as it moved inland. So it continued to strengthen right up until landfall. 70 miles per hour, almost became a hurricane. However, a lot of people did not really experience winds anything close to that, and I'll get to that in a minute as well. But anyway, the system is forecast to become a tropical, well, it is a tropical depression. Then it's going to turn northeast, skirting the southeastern coastline, and then should reemerge over the open waters of the Atlantic in the afternoon hours on Wednesday, regaining tropical storm status, or maybe subtropical, extratropical storm at that point, and then heading out into the open Atlantic. Once it gets into these temperatures in the 70s, it's probably going to be transitioned to an extratropical system, and it'll spread out and head off to the northeast, and then we'll be done with Beryl. But I wanted to mention that right around the time that this will be re-emerging into the Atlantic, right off the mid-Atlantic coast here, I will be on an airplane heading into Virginia Beach to do the hurricane season kickoff show, so I might be flying right in this area here, right in where the storm is going to be exiting. So it'll be interesting to see what they say on the plane, if they're flying over the system, or if they make any mention. If they do, I'll try to record it, of course, and pass it along to you and hear what the pilot had to say about the system. But I think it'll be rather interesting, maybe a little bumpy ride there. We'll see what happens as I head into Virginia Beach on Wednesday. Anyway, let's talk about what happened at landfall here. First of all, the system made landfall again, as I mentioned, in the very early morning hours, according to the National Hurricane Center, at 12:10 a.m. with 70-mile-per-hour winds. And even though the system did not really affect the area with 70-mile-per-hour winds, there were some gusts. In fact, the high wind gust in Jacksonville and around on the beaches here was about 62 miles an hour. That was the highest gust they had. So even though this was officially a 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm, very few people, if any, experienced that 70-mile-an-hour winds. And this is why I always try to emphasize on the hurricane warning shows and all the broadcasts and tropical update videos that what they find out on the Hurricane Hunter aircraft is not what you're going to find when the system makes landfall in your area. You can usually take about 20 miles an hour or so off of the wind speeds they're finding out there. Because what they're doing is they're finding the area of highest winds around the center of the storm in a small thunderstorm, and then extrapolating that around the entire center of the storm. And if you don't get that one thunderstorm, you're not going to get those 70-mile-an-hour winds. So it's usually a little less than what they're reporting out in the Hurricane Hunters. But anyway, here are all the power outages from the power company that supplies most of the power to the Jacksonville metropolitan areas, JEA, and they're reporting only two areas really in the city that are getting significant power outages. 2,500 or plus areas are the red dots, and then you have the blue and green areas are usually just very small sporadic power outages. So pretty good news for the Jacksonville area. They got through this pretty well unscathed. I mean, a few thousand, 20,000 plus people at the height of the storm were without power. They should have that restored today, and things will be back to normal. There's going to be some minor flooding here and there, but overall, not a real big deal from a tropical storm, and this is why we generally don't cover tropical storms on the hurricane warning shows, because there's just not a whole lot to report. In fact, even low-end Category 1s really don't do much damage than what we saw with Tropical Storm Beryl. So anyway, that's the basic situation. Things are getting back to normal. Things should be clearing out tonight, and going into tomorrow, things will be back to normal in the Jacksonville area. All right, let's take a look at the radar from the center of the storm here. Let's pan this out a little bit. And here we are looking at northern Florida, and you can see that tropical storm, now tropical depression Beryl, is well inland, and the system should begin to make that turn to the north and then northeast, skirting the coast. But it's a rather large system spread out pretty well. And what we're going to do is, for the cities in this Hurricane City database, deciphering which ones were directly impacted versus a brush on this system. Let me pull up the HurTrack program here and show you the wind field. And what we have is the yellow circle, or where the tropical storm force winds affected. And if we follow that, you know, we have basic all the way down to Daytona Beach. However, when you look at the radar, when the radar passed through and this system was making landfall, really the Flagler Beach area was about where the sustained tropical storm force winds affected all the way up through Brunswick. So in the Hurricane City database, Flagler Beach, Marineland, St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Fernandina Beach, and Brunswick, Georgia will all be considered direct hits by Tropical Storm Beryl. Down here, the outliers, Ormond Beach and Daytona, will be brushes by Tropical Storm Beryl, and Savannah will be outside of the range with no brush at all. Because once it gets up near Savannah and areas like that, it'll remain a tropical depression. Now the question remains for the database is, when it gets up near the Outer Banks, when it gets offshore and regains strength, will it be a hit on places like Morehead City, maybe Wilmington, North Carolina, and the Outer Banks, Cape Hatteras area as it heads on out to sea? We'll have to see about that. But these are the cities that have been impacted by Tropical Storm Beryl. All right, now what else do we have going on out in the... one more thing I wanted to show you. This is kind of neat. The graphics from the HurTrack program, and we can see that the height of the actual wind speed profile on the system was at 60 knots, right at landfall up in here. And then you can see it was a gradual strengthening, and right in this area was when I did the tropical update video, was saying it was going to be a 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm. Then it quickly stair-stepped here as it approached the coast, becoming tropical, and then it bottomed out at 60 knots. And then, of course, now we're on the downturn here as it's over land. But pretty neat graphics from the HurTrack program. And here are the pressures as the system approached the shore. Really not a big drop here, and that's why we didn't see rapid intensification, but it was steady intensification. We were at 998, and then we dropped down to around 980 here, and then we got down around 960, I believe that's around 980 millibars here, and then the system started to weaken as it got over land, but not a real lot of deepening as it approached land from the east. So rapid intensification on storms can bring a lot more winds to the surface and a lot more damage, and this was not a rapid intensification situation. It was steady intensification at landfall, and that's probably why the damage is not all that bad. All right, what else is going on out in the Atlantic? Quickly, I want to talk about our system in the down in the Caribbean. We have one area down there that is down near right near Central America, down near Honduras, Nicaragua. So far, none of the global models are really showing much development with this system, and all indications are that any development that would take place down here right now would basically swing on out to the northeast in following the trail of Beryl, and probably go through the Bahamas and out into the open Atlantic. But we'll watch it and see if this area develops. So far, there's no invest on that. That could change at any time. Right now, the models don't show much development with this system at all. So that's about it. Again, this is the final reminder. I will be up in Virginia Beach for the Hurricane Season Kickoff Show live on hurricanecity.tv, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be making my top 20 cities and islands that I think are going to be affected by a named storm this year. And you'll be surprised at some of the top cities that, based on the kind of a season we're expecting, although we're out of the gates pretty quick this year with 2 named storms. Still thinking 13 storms or something, give or take, throughout the season, and a lot of close-to-home development. So I'll let you know what my cities and islands are going to be on June 1st, and then I'll put it on the predictions page after that. So tune in live from Virginia Beach on June 1st for the Hurricane Season Kickoff Show. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.